Okay, so chapter 169 was a nice epilogue to this war arc, tying up all the loose ends and setting up what's coming next. But there's not really much to talk about from this chapter, at least not enough to make a full review about. But luckily enough, we got the early leaks for chapter 170, and based on these leaks, Hero is going to be doing something that none of us saw coming, and I am excited to get into it. But anyway, I just wanted to let you guys know in the beginning of this video that I'm going to be quickly going over the chapter and then jumping into the spoilers for chapter 170. Okay, so getting into the chapter, we get this really cool cover image of Shiki with an eye patch, and I saw this image a few days before the chapter released online, and I was so excited thinking that this was going to be Shiki's new look going forward, but unfortunately that's not the case, because as we open the chapter, we see Shiki is getting a brand new mechanical eye courtesy of Sister, which has the added function of letting him see through clothes, which obviously ends up leading to this funny scene of Shiki looking at the three girls of the crew and each of them getting very embarrassed, and then Jin getting very pissed off at Shiki for even thinking about looking at Klein. Now, after that, we get this moment where Pino and Happy are a little bit worried about Shiki and thinking that he might be upset now that he has a robot eye, but Shiki doesn't really seem to mind and even making a joke out of the situation, which makes everyone else relieved. Now, I'm not sure why they would be concerned that Shiki would be upset about this. I mean, at no point did he ever seem to discourage people for being Otex. So I'm not really sure why they would be a little bit worried about Shiki getting upset about having a robotic eye now, but I guess I can understand them being worried that he might be upset about losing the eye in the first place. Then we cut over to the bath and we get this scene between Wise and Laguna, which pretty much just leads to him officially finally joining the crew, saying that he wants to be, as I quote, the water that takes them down the path they're meant to go. So yeah, Laguna's now officially on the team, which is great because back in chapter 167, it still felt like him, Klein, and Jin were separate from the EZ crew. So hopefully going forward, they'll no longer feel like they're separate from the team and actually be a part of it. Because seeing the three of them around that table in chapter 167 really didn't make them feel like they're still kind of awkwardly teaming up with them and not actually full-on members. So hopefully going forward, we're not going to see that and we're going to see them be more integrated with the team. Kind of like how we saw with Jin and Klein in these last two chapters. Then we get this quick scene of Herman still trying to decipher the logs from their journey with Ziggy 15 years ago. And this is basically Hero foreshadowing that they're going to be heading to the Kaede Cosmos next. Maybe not right away based on the ending of this chapter, but most likely that's where the next big arc is going to happen. Then we get this big speech from Shiki declaring that while their main goal is still to find Mother, after everything that Ziggy's done, they can no longer just keep letting him run wild. So now their goal alongside finding Mother is to also hunt him down and stop him before he can achieve his goal of wiping out all humans in the cosmos. And to symbolize that he no longer sees Ziggy as his family, Shiki rips off the band-aid that he gave him as a kid. Now, what I like about this speech is the fact that Shiki mentions that they're not strong enough as they are right now to take on Ziggy. So they have to train hard, which I hope this means that Shiki and them are going to be picking up Master Zenolith from Foressa, and they're going to be training under him for the foreseeable future, because if they want to get stronger, I mean, look how much stronger they all became over 7 days of training with him. Imagine what they could do in a year or so. I mean, hell, if they're able to train with Zenolith for that long, then the next time Shiki and Justice face off, Shiki actually might stand a chance of beating him. But then again, with the way that Ziggy apparently is able to kill people and take their Ether Gear abilities, the next time Shiki and him come face to face, he might even be stronger as well. But still, I do appreciate the fact that Shiki knows that they are not strong enough to take on Ziggy right now, and is planning on training in order to actually get strong enough to take him down. And then finally, we get a narration from Xiao Mei, basically going over the loose ends left over from the arc, which the only thing really worth mentioning is that the IUA has taken over Narrow 1, but the important part from the ending of this chapter is we find out from her that we are getting a 3-year time skip starting with the next chapter. And that's where the spoilers for chapter 170 come into play for this video, because according to the leaks that we got, we start the chapter immediately with the 3-year time skip, and we get to see Rebecca on a battlefield with Shiki. He tackles her out of the way of a blast, and when she tries to ask him where Happy is, he says that Happy is dead. Now, the key thing to talk about from these spoilers, besides the fact that Shiki looks cool as hell in the 3-year time skip, is the fact that Rebecca seemingly has no idea what's going on in the situation, even though she was in the middle of a battle. And what I'm guessing is that more than likely, this is a younger Rebecca, the Rebecca that we are currently following as of chapter 169, who ends up taking her consciousness into the Rebecca of 3 years in the future, which makes me think that we're not actually going to be getting a time skip per se in the next chapter, but we're going to be going to an alternate timeline. And I mean, that's the only reason I could think of as to why Rebecca would be confused about the situation that they were currently in, despite the fact that they were seemingly both active in the battle, and why she would be confused by the fact that Happy was already dead. And I mean, it's not like this is the first time we saw Rebecca do this. We literally saw her about 10 or so chapters ago take her consciousness from the current timeline and go forward into the future into an alternate one, where we get to see a much older Shiki and find out that she has robotic legs. Now, from the spoiler images we get, we don't see those robotic legs on Rebecca, so this is definitely not the same timeline that she went to previously, but we do know that she's definitely going to be going to a different timeline based on the situation we're getting from these leaked images. And even though we only have about 2 or 3 images leaked out for chapter 170 as I'm recording this video, I still have so many questions just based off of those images alone, because of the fact that 1, we see in this alternate timeline that obviously we already know Happy's dead, so something happened that killed off Happy. I want to know what happened there. I want to know what kind of battle they're in right now, who they're fighting and why they're fighting them, and I want to know what happened to Shiki to change his personality so much, because we see in these leaked images when he's talking to Rebecca, the way he talks about Happy being dead, it's not like he says, "What are you talking about, Rebecca? Happy died a long time ago, you remember this," or anything like that. He says, as I quote, "How's a dead cat going to help us right now?" So that kind of shows that Shiki in the 3-year alternate timeline future ends up becoming kind of a dick. So I'm wondering what happened in this alternate timeline that made Shiki turn into this kind of character where he seemingly is very dickish. But anyway guys, that is it for the video. Thanks for watching, and let me know in the comment section down below what you think about my theory that Rebecca's going to be going to an alternate timeline in the next chapter. I mean, we might still get, hopefully, the 3-year time skip, so instead of Rebecca going forward into an alternate timeline, she might just make a horizontal move into a different timeline in the same year. But still, regardless, based on what we get from the leaks images, we know for sure that Rebecca has to be going to a different timeline. So let me know in the comment section down below what you think is going to be happening with that. But that's pretty much it for the video, guys. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you all in the next one. Peace.